Hi everyone, my name is Yeshen Lu, and today I'm going to talk about the Chinese culture and the ethnic identity. First of all, let me introduce myself. I come from Shijiazhuang, Hebei, China, and I have been living here since I was a child. My hometown is located in the north of China, so I grew up in an environment with four distinct seasons. I lived and grew up in a city that was monolingual and ethnically homogeneous. So we all spoke Mandarin, which is Chinese. I have received traditional Chinese education since childhood, and it was not until my senior year in high school that I came to the US and began to receive a more diversified education. My elder told me to be polite, humble, respect to the elders, can't do the weight, to know how to share and bear. I have a clear Asian identity and I love my country so much, so I have always identified myself as an Asian or a Chinese. Now, I will introduce China from various views. The first part is about history. China has a history of more than 5,000 years. Ancient times have seen the rise and fall of many dynasties, but it's this rich history that has given China many traditional sites and cultural. Now, China's policy has developed to one-party rule, and the country and people are developing rapidly and living a happy life under the leadership of the Communist Party. In addition, what I want to introduce most is about the history of ancient building. For example, the Great Wall. It was a massive barrier built in the ancient central plans to ward off invasion by an alliance of nomadic tribes. A very important is one of the part of the Great Wall is located in my hometown. There is also the Forbidden City, which hosted 24 emperors of China's Ming and Qing dynasties. It's large in scale and elaborate in structure. It's currently the best preserved palace in the world. There are many more, and it is historical products that have survived so that China has always had the title of ancient civilization. About Chinese culture, it is deeply rooted in Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism. At the same time, a large number of calligraphy, arts, painting, poems, and literary works left over from ancient China can not only depict the great rivers and mountains of China, but also reflect the fine qualities of Chinese people. Chinese traditional medicine has been a far-reaching influence, such as herbal medicine, massage, scrapping, and so on have always been recognized by everyone. Chinese kung fu and drama are often used as representatives. Nowadays, many young people are also interested in these contents. So study this content carefully and pass on these cultural treasures left. About the religions, there are various religious parties in China, such as Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, and Islam. Each city has its own temple where people can offer incense and worship Buddha. Traditional Chinese beliefs often incorporate elements of multiple religions, including the love for family, worship of ancestors, and reverence for nature. The food part. Chinese cuisine is renowned worldwide for its diversity and flavors. There are 8 major cuisines in China, such as Sichuan, Guangdong, Fujian, and etc. Chinese cuisine is extensive and profound due to the differences in geography, climate, customs, and specialties. A variety of dishes with local flavor and characteristics have been developed, as well as the corresponding cooking methods forming different local flavor cuisines. Most of the food in my hometown is made of flour, which is very similar to the eating habits and structure of Beijing. The taste is relatively salty. There are many differences between the north and south of China. But on the contrary, the south diet is more light and sweet. About the language, Mandarin is the official language of China and is used by the majority of the population for daily communication. Before learning Chinese and before writing it, we will learn Pinyin first, which can make everyone's Mandarin pronunciation more standard. There are simplified and traditional Chinese characters. At present, except for Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, the traditional characters are used. The simplified characters are used in mainland of China. In addition to Mandarin, there are many dialects, especially in the south. Chinese is divided into 10 dialects. Of course, there are many more dialects that are not included because they are not widely used. My hometown is the birthplace of Mandarin, so I was exposed to fewer dialects in my upbringing. There are many traditional sports in China, and traditional Chinese sports such as Kung Fu, Tai Chi are deeply rooted in the culture. Most old people prefer this kind of sports. And there are also many modern sports that are very popular, such as basketball, football, and table tennis. As the national sports of China, table tennis is loved by many people, and China often wins awards in this field in world competitions. China has also hosted the Olympic Games twice. The first is 2008 in Beijing, and the second is 2022 Winter Games. About music, Chinese music has a long history, and many songs are still popular today. There are also many musical instruments in China, and many ethnic minorities have their own unique musical expressions and instruments. 古筝, lipa, 二胡, and other classical instruments are typically representatives. There are 273 kinds of opera, and Peking opera, 评剧, 豫剧, 越剧, and Huami opera are called the 5 major kinds. Many people are still willing to watch the performance of these operas. Of course, modern music like pop music, rock music, hip hop, and other forms of music are also favored by many young Chinese. There are many traditional festivals in China, such as Spring Festival, Lantern, Qingming, and so on. There are also 24 solar terms. On these special days, Chinese people will eat different food, and different races will have the same or different customs. For example, the Spring Festival will stick paper cut, write bread envelopes, eat dumplings, and the Lantern Festival will eat yuanxiao. Qingming Festival will worship ancestors. The Dragon Boat Festival will roll dragon boats, eat zongzi. The Mid-Autumn Festival will eat mooncake and enjoy the full moon. There are also many customs in China, such as table manners, tea ceremony, wine table culture, visiting relatives and friends, getting married, and having children. For example, when toasting elders, the glasses used should be lower than the elder. And when you're drinking the tea, the mouth of the teapot should not be facing to anyone else. Before marriage, the bride should prepare dowry, and the bridegroom should prepare money, jewelry for her bride. Having introduced so much, I believe you have gained a better understanding of China. So next, I would like to discuss the current situation or history of real cultural biases, stereotypes, and discrimination from the perspective of China itself and the perspective of the international view of China. There are regional and cultural biases in China because China is linguistically and culturally diverse. Biases sometimes arise between different regions or dialects groups. For example, compared with Mandarin, people who have an accent or speak dialects are considered to be from the countryside, which is a bias against people in rural areas. This can also extend to academic bias, with people who cannot speak Mandarin being assumed to be less educated. Gender bias also exists. Women who love work will be accused of neglecting her families, and men who take care of their family will be accused of having no career ambition and not looking for progress. About the world's bias against China, many native English speakers would assume that speaking Chinese English is heavily accented by Asians. Since the Chinese diet is very diverse, many foreigners will think that Chinese people eat everything. For example, they will think Chinese people eat dogs, but that is completely incorrect. In addition, many foreign news often report that China is a one-party dictatorship and the people are oppressed and have no voice. About the common stereotypes, the Han people have it about ethnic minorities, thinking that the Mongolian people must be able to ride horses. There are also stereotypes about skin color. Fair skin is often associated with beauty and wealth, while darker skin may be seen as a sign of labor or a symbol of the working class. Northern soft stereotypes also exist. Many Northerners think that Southerners must be shorter and shy. From the perspective of global, China has always been known as manufacturing power, so many people think that China's innovation, research, and development ability is not good. They can only copy existing inventions. So made in China is often associated with mass production and low quality products. As China's economic influence has grown, some perceive it as a threat to job markets and economies in other countries, leading to negative economic stereotypes. China's political system and censorship practice have led to stereotypes of Chinese people as lacking political freedom or being unquestionably obedient to the government. The most obvious is the appearance stereotype, which applies to all Asians. Many Europeans and Americans believe that yellow skin, flight nose, and single eyelid are Asian characteristics, which is why many Hollywood films have used Asian actors to mate with these characteristics. About racism or discrimination, in addition to the above I mentioned, China also has obvious discrimination against the LGBTQ. Most Chinese people, especially older people, find it difficult to accept people with LGBTQ tendencies because they are considered abnormal and having psychological problems. This has also led to many LGBTQ people in China not being respected and understood, because they always feeling repressed and powerless. International discrimination against China and even Asia has always been a concern, so more and more people began to pay attention to and try to solve this problem. Racial discrimination has brought many negative effects to overseas Chinese and Chinese in American law. Such discrimination leaves people of color in healthcare, housing, education, employment, where they are constantly forced to make choices. About the history, I learned that China suffered greatly during World War II due to Japanese occupation, leading to immense suffering and widespread anti-Chinese sentiment. Through the understanding and summary of the above information, I feel a lot. And I also interviewed friends and family around me. Based on their feedback, I also reflected. As a student abroad in America, I think I have a good say in how I fit in another culture. Here are a few things I have summarized. First, in order to integrate into the culture of a center, it's important to master its language. Improve your English skill can increase your chances of communicating and connecting with others, as well as expressing your own opinion and needs. This also requires developing good communication skills. Second, we should first understanding the cultural differences and always maintain self-confidence and identity of our own nation. As an American student, I can educate myself about American culture norms, values, and etiquette. Be open-minded and respectful towards differences in communication styles, personal space, and social interactions. Next, it's also important to build social connections and participate in cultural events. It's useful to attend local events, festivals, and gatherings to experience American culture firsthand. Meet people with similar hobbies and passions, build more friendship, and increase interaction with locals. Last is embrace diversity and be respectful, understanding and inclusive in the face of diversity. Always be patient and be flexible when necessary. The US is a melting pot of culture, so take the opportunity to learn about various cultures beyond just the American one. Engage with people from different backgrounds to broaden your horizons. Finally, cultural adaptation takes time and is a gradual process. So don't be anxious when you're in foreign country. Keep a good man and be open. Treat every day as an opportunity for personal cultural learning and growth. With the passage of time, you will gradually find that you can become more fruitful in the new environment and you can establish contact with different cultural backgrounds. That's all what I want to talk about. Thank you guys for listening.